What is up, people? What is up, people? This is Abraham Walker with Ask A Walker. This is Abraham Walker. Wait, is that what I say?
You're gonna say I'm Abraham Walker.
Do I say I'm Abraham Walker?
Your Northern Virginia real estate agent.
Okay, all right. I'm Abraham Walker, your Northern Virginia real estate agent, and we are back with another live stream show. I'm joined by my co-host
Crystal Walker,
and we make up the Ask A Walker team. You're watching us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. So thank you so much for joining us. So today's show, we have a really interesting show for you all today. We're going to be covering a question from our book, 100 Questions Every First-Time Home Buyer Should Ask.
Yes, every first-time home buyer should ask. And question 41 is going to be, what do I do in a multiple offer situation?
And then we have 100 questions every seller should ask.
And we're covering question number 9. Is it more difficult to sell a vacant home or one that is lived in?
So the way this process works, we're going to cover a question, answer your question. So get your questions ready for us. Put them down below in the comment section. And then we'll go to the next section. And then we'll answer your question. So put those questions down below in the comment section. Please let us know where you're watching the show from. We always like to hear where our viewers are located.
Yeah, so if you're watching from Northern Virginia, go ahead and put your county in the comment section. If you're watching from outside of Virginia, we'd love to know where you're watching from.
Excellent, excellent. So before we begin the show, there is a link in the description to the Perfect Home Questionnaire. Fill out that form and we will schedule a time to meet online via Zoom to answer any and all of your questions about real estate.
Yeah, and if you are watching from TikTok, that link is going to be in the bio. So if you have any questions and would like to schedule a session with Abraham, be sure to click those links and schedule a session with him.
Okay, so we have a question before we begin the show. We love that. We love that. So one of the questions we have on TikTok right now is, do you help renters? And I'm in Loudoun. Well, thank you for watching the show in Loudoun. We have somebody on our team that actually helps us with our rental clients. We mainly focus on buyers and sellers and investors, but we do have somebody on our team that will assist our clients and viewers with renting property. So be sure to reach out. There's a link in the bio since you're on TikTok for that information, so you can schedule a time to talk with us. All right. So let's talk about the 100 questions every first-time home buyer should ask.
All right. And so as we said, we are talking about multiple offer situations. What do you do? How do you win in a multiple offer situation? Because we know that as the market heats up, we're starting to see more and more multiple offer situations. We're going to see more and more competitive offers. And so what does that look like for you as a buyer? How do you win in those scenarios? And so before we talk about how you win in those scenarios, we're going to talk about when we see them. And right now we're getting into a hot spring market. We've been in this hot spring market or in this hot market for the last 2 years, right? But as we get into spring, it's starting to pick up a little bit more and we're starting to see more multiple offer situations. It's most common when you're in a seller's market, which is when we have low inventory or when demand is outpacing the supply of homes, which is what we're seeing right now. And then sometimes even in a buyer's market, it's more rare. But in a buyer's market, you sometimes see it when there's like a really great house that comes on the market, a home with like a lot of updates on a premium lot in a great location, so sometimes those homes get a lot of offers too. So when you have a multiple offer situation, you have to set yourself apart from other buyers. And so we're going to talk about how you can do that and how you can win in those situations.
So you're in a multiple offer or a multiple offer market when the list price is the beginning of the offer process. So in a balanced market or a buyer's market, this is one where there are more properties than there are buyers. Then that means that the list price is really like a suggestion, and then the buyer comes in and provide some insight as far as like, okay, great, this is what I believe the property is worth. And so that's when you kind of start to find the market value. In a seller market or a competitive market, the list price is really the beginning of the offer process. So this is where the seller lets you know, hey, I'm setting the price. You determine if you want to meet that price or exceed that price.
Yeah, really, they're like, this is the least I'll take for the property.
Right. So one concept that we try to talk about on our channel is the market of the moment. So whatever market you're in is going to determine what you're able to do at that particular time. Crystal already mentioned there are some times when we have exclusive properties, maybe waterfront views or penthouse condos or desirable neighborhoods where there's going to be a multiple offer scenario no matter what market we're in. You just
Mhm.
need to know that the market of the moment will determine how you actually pursue a property.
Yeah. So when you're in a multiple offer situation, you have to realize that if the goal is to win, then you have to do what's necessary to win, which is be more aggressive than maybe you thought you would have to be. And so that means that, as Abraham said, the list price tends to start the list price tends to be the starting price. So you have to go in knowing that you can expect to pay at least list price, if not higher, when there are multiple offers. Well, how do we know that? Well, if you're in a market where you're starting to see that prices are climbing, or you're in a situation where because sometimes agents will tell us, I already have two offers in hand. Well, if you know that there are other buyers already who have submitted offers, you can guess that they have offered at least list price, right? So that means you need to put your offer together in such a way that it's going to be competitive. And one of the ways you do that is you check the numbers. We're going to see what the comps say. And so you're going to see what other people have done to win. So when we say check the comps, we don't just mean check to see what other homes have sold for, as far as like, okay, well, last month homes are selling for, $600,000. No, you want to see how much homes sold for over list price.
So we have this little graphic here. If you're on TikTok, you'll need to go to our YouTube channel to see this graphic. But the idea is simple. The list price is really the starting price for the month that you're in, right? So we have a little diagram here where list price in January may have started at 550, but then the close price was 555. So that means that the sellers in February, so February sellers are going to look at the close price, and they're going to actually make their list price the previous close price.
The previous month's close price. So now that means the listings that came on the market in February, instead of listing at 550, well, they listed at 555 because that's what their neighbors got in January. Well, we're in a multiple offer situation. So now their home was bid up to 565, which leads us to March. So now in March, our March sellers are looking at the numbers from February and they say, hey, my neighbor got 565. Well, I'm going to list my house at 565. And if we continue to be in a multiple offer situation, then we can assume that many homes will go for above list price in March, and that's going to give us a new starting price for April. And that's what we've been seeing over the last few I won't say the last few years because it slowed down during the fall and winter, but over the last few summers and springs, this is what we've been seeing. And so you have to say, okay, well, I know that last month's buyers had to offer $10,000 above in order to get the property. So what do I need to offer in order to win the property? Because again, the goal is to win. We're not in the business of making offers. You're in the business of essentially winning a property. So start with your best offer. You're not going to have an opportunity to negotiate and go back and forth. You have to start whatever it is that you're willing to pay. You have to start with that, because in a multiple offer situation, there's no guarantee that the listing agent or the seller is going to come back to you and say, well, would you do this? Would you increase your price here? Would you make this change? Chances are the offer you're presenting is the only shot you're going to have in a multiple offer situation.
This can be stressful too, because oftentimes buyers will believe that they don't want to pay over the price that they could get the property for. So
Mhm.
they're like, oh, if I could save 5,000, 20,000, 50,000, these numbers are not insignificant.
Mhm.
And you have to be realistic about, why would a seller counter your offer if they already have an offer that's higher than yours?
Mhm. And so this is where escalation clause comes in. An escalation clause says, well, let me break it down this way. Let's say you're willing to pay 625 on a property, right? You're willing to pay 625, but it's listed at 600. So you don't want to just jump out the window immediately offering 625, right? Because you don't know what other buyers are offering. So instead, when we have a $600,000 list price, you say, well, I would pay up to 625, but I'm only willing to pay $1,000 above whatever the next highest offer is. So that way, if another buyer offered 615 and your escalation clause said you would pay $1,000 more, you end up paying 616. Now you would have paid up to 625, but you're able to save $9,000 by including the escalation clause instead of just coming straight out the gate and offering 625. And we see this happen. We actually had a client a few weeks ago who had a similar situation, and they were willing to offer, several thousand above list price. And we advised, well, let's go with escalation clause instead. And they were able to keep some money in the bank by, another offer activated their escalation clause, but didn't have to go up to their very max budget.
You know what? When we save people money like that, maybe we should just get the money ourselves. Like the
Is that
difference.
what you think?
Yeah.
Is that what you think?
Excellent. All right. So before we talk about the offers, so when you're in a competitive offer situation, you want to write a clean offer. So you'll start to hear this language, a clean offer. I thought it'd be clever to talk about what is a dirty offer. And so a dirty offer is one where you have a seller subsidy. This is one where you're asking the seller to pay for some of your closing costs. You have a long or short closing period. So you don't even care about what the seller wants. This is really just all about you. You have a low down payment. You have a low earnest money deposit. You have every contingency imaginable. So home inspection, financing, appraisal, and even a home sale. So you have a home to sell, and you're telling the seller, hey, look, I want to put your house under contract and then give me some time to sell my property. That's a dirty offer. When we're talking about a clean offer, we're talking about removing as many contingencies as possible that you feel comfortable, right? So this is one of those things where you have to ask yourself, what do I feel comfortable with? Some of our clients don't like removing the home inspection contingency, right? Some people feel adamant about having a home inspection and making sure that a professional, views that property. If you're in a situation where there's 14 offers on a property, it's very likely that a few of those
somebody has waived the home inspection.
Yes. And you just have to come to terms with the fact that there are just some things that you won't do. But your goal is to figure out what is clean offer to me. What is a clean offer to me? Maybe that is a shorter home inspection period. Maybe that is removing the financing contingency, but having the appraisal contingency. So it's just different things for different people.
Yes, you have to determine what you're willing to do and then just stick with that. Now, one of the things Abraham pointed out when he talked about dirty offers is finding out what's important to the seller. Sometimes the most important thing to the seller is price. And that's what a lot of people jump to. So they're going to try to offer the most money. But for some sellers, it's other things. It could be that they want to close really quickly. Like, so do you have a lender who can close in 12 days? Because if so, that could be the thing that differentiates you from someone else who may have a higher offer, but they can't close for 30 days or 45 days. Another thing another thing can be very helpful for sellers is a seller rent back. If the seller has somewhere to go, but they can't go there for another 60 days, well, they may need a seller rent back. And if there is a buyer who also needs to move in, 30 days, well, then that buyer cannot offer the seller a rent back after closing. So again, find out what's important to the seller and craft your offer in a way that gets the seller everything that they're looking for.
So a hot topic right now is seller love letters. So seller love letters were a big deal last year because a lot of people don't like them because they present almost like a fair housing violation because the seller now knows maybe
your family situation.
They may even know your race, and they may take that into consideration about whether or not they choose or select your offer. So some people are of the mindset, why would I give the seller this information if they may not choose my offer? Well, we have the different mindset, which is your contract looks like a contract. It's just a piece of paper. I mean, really not even paper anymore.
It may end up being a spreadsheet. If there are multiple offers where the listing agent is just presenting the numbers and the facts.
So how do you move from just being a number on a spreadsheet to having a more personalized offer? So then you can kind of strike up those emotions that are tied to the whole home buying process. Well, that's through a seller love letter. And so this is where you profess your love to the seller about the property. And what we're talking about you talking about like what is your transition to the neighborhood, what you love about the property, the community,
what you can see, how you can see your family using the space. We often see that, I can see my kids sliding down a banister of the stairs and things like you want to lay it on thick now.
Yes. So seller love letters, we can tell you from our history, they work. Sellers love the love letters.
Especially if they love their home.
Yes.
If the seller loves their home, they want to know that the home will continue to be loved. And so it's a really great way to humanize yourself and to differentiate yourself from all the other numbers that they're looking at.
Exactly. So do not skip over the seller love letters. So for our clients, we have like a list of seller love letters that we've used in the past, or our clients have used in the past. So we give them that list, and then they kind of put together their own version of a seller love letter. And we actually adjust those love letters to the property, right? So you can't just use a blanket love letter. You got to put a little work in. But I'm telling you, that work will pay off in the end. We've had 2 clients this year alone where
Not just within the last few weeks.
Yes. Well, this year's only.
Oh, well, yes. But I'm just saying it's been within the last few weeks, both of them.
Gotcha. And so the listing agents commented that, hey, look, the love letter is one of the things that kind of boost you above the other offers.
Okay, so next up, we talk about winning, because that's what we said we want to do, right? Well, you can't win if you don't play. So sometimes when you're in these multiple offer situations, like there's a hot property, right? We had difficulty scheduling the showing, or now that everything is kind of getting back to normal, we're starting to see overlapping showings again. Over the last few years, we really hadn't seen overlapping showings at all. So that means that while you're having a showing, another agent is also showing a property to their buyers. So sometimes that a property is going to be a hot property going out the gate. And that can discourage you. You can be like, oh, I don't want to, go through the situation where I have to make my offer as clean as possible. I may have to include escalation clause. You can't win if you don't play. So if you are interested in the property, it doesn't take long to prepare an offer on your agent's end. So if you are interested in the property, go ahead and make an offer on it. And when I say that is if you are interested, because sometimes when we're getting into these really hot markets and these multiple offer situations, we end up with clients who feel like they have to make an offer every weekend. Like it's like, they go out, they look at properties, they may put an offer on a property that has several offers on it and they don't win. And so the next weekend they're back out looking at properties and they feel like they have to put another offer in. No, put offers on properties that you want to win, but you can't win if you don't play. And if you're not interested, then you shouldn't play. Now, you may not win your first or even your second try. When we're in a multiple offer situation, you have to realize that if one person got that house last week, then all the other buyers who did not secure, all the people who lost that bid, those people are still in the market this week. And then we have the new buyers who just entered the market this week. So it may take you a little while to find a property. So don't get discouraged, because it could take you more at bats than you thought to get a hit.
I'll also say that I find that on the first or second offer, sometimes even a third offer, the buyer hasn't come to term. Our client hasn't come to terms with what is going to take the wins, right? Because most people have an idea of what they are comfortable doing to win, and maybe it's paying up to list price. I mean, we have some people who start off offering below list price because they're like, I want a deal.
They want a deal,
or I at least want the seller to counter my offer. The market of the moment determines what you're able to do. So it takes some time. If you're buying a $600,000 to $1 million to $2 million property, and your agent is saying, hey, look, I want you to offer $50,000 over the asking price, you're like, excuse me, settle down now, you greedy thing. No. So it takes some time to just come to terms with, okay, great, other buyers are doing this. I want to buy a home in a certain period of time. This is the market of the moment. So let's prepare to do battle. Now, before we end, I will say, when you win a property in a multiple offer scenario after you've lost several weeks in a row, you feel like you won a championship game. I got to let you know. I know a lot of people are like, Abraham, I don't want to buy a house during this time period because it's so competitive. I'll wait till things die down. I'm a 40-year-old guy. I got to let you know, you don't really have that many exciting moments. And there is nothing like knowing that 3, 10, 20 people lost because you won. It's your house. It's my house.
It is your
house. So I will say that.
Is that where you get your victories? Is that it?
Yeah, I'm telling you, there's nothing like when you make that call to the client. You're like, hey, look,
it's a lovely call,
and it's like it's so quiet too. Like the client is anticipating defeat, and you could hear it in their voices. And then you say we won, and it just erupts in
especially when they've lost a few, because I get so tired of having to start a conversation with unfortunately. Like, I feel like it's such a relief when
Yes.
I can finally start a conversation with congratulations versus unfortunately, because it's always unfortunately the seller selected another offer.
Yes.
It's draining, it's daunting. It's always a good feeling when we can say congratulations versus unfortunately. That's definitely a good feeling. Before we move on to questions, I did want to point out that when we're in a market like this, you have to be paying attention. As we showed earlier, we're going to start to see the prices creep up. As you see prices creeping up, you know that's an indicator of multiple offers, because again, people aren't just going ahead paying more than list price if they're not competing or bidding against somebody. So if you're getting into the market and you see that home prices are starting to creep up, that is a sign for you to get into the market sooner than you thought. So if you were planning to move in 6 months, you probably thought 90 days was enough time to find a home. You're probably going to want to start looking 120, 150 days out. So don't just think that you can go by traditional rules, which is I want to buy a house, so I'll start looking 3 months in advance. When we're in a hot market and we're seeing a lot of multiple offer situations, know that you may have to lose a few times before you win.
Okay, while we're talking about this timing your move, let's remember that in a multiple offer scenario, if we're looking in an established neighborhood where homes are over $600,000, a lot of times those sellers have not moved out of the property. They live in the property. If they live in the property, then you could assume that they're going to want a rent back, right? Now, a rent back at the very most can last 60 days, right? Because most loans say that you have to move in or you have to start
You have to take
your
possession.
you have to take possession in the 61st day, right? So that means that if you go into contract, so let's say for instance you on day 0 you go into contract and you close in 30 days, then 60 days from that day, so 90 days is when the seller could potentially move out. So it may actually take you from the date that you close on a property until you move into the property 3 months.
Well, not from the date you close, from the date that
I mean,
you ratify the contract.
yes,
From the date that you ratify the contract, you could take you 3 months. Now, let's say that it took you 2 months to find a property.
right.
That means that you had to have been in the market 5 months before you wanted to take possession.
This is why a lot of our clients, we'll have people on our channel, either on YouTube or TikTok, and they'll say, well, I want to move in July or June, and I'm going to reach out to you all in March. That is too late. That's too late. We have a client just closed. Well, we ratified something on Monday, and there's a 60-day rent back. So that means that our client won't take possession until June.
Until
something.
June.
So you got to know this. And I know that this is a lot of information coming at you, but we just want to make sure you're prepared. If you want to watch the rebroadcast of this live stream, it airs on our YouTube channel, Where to Live in Northern Virginia. Now that we finished question number 41, what do I do in a multiple bid situation? We'll take your questions. So post your questions down below. If you have a question about buying a home, selling a home, or investing in real estate, we'll answer that question. And we'll move into our next segment after we clear out all the questions right now. While you're putting your questions in the chat, let us know where you're located. If you don't have any questions, we'd love to hear where you're located. If you're in Northern Virginia, let us know what county you're in. If you're outside of the area, let us know what state, what location you're in. That helps us out as well. All right, let's clear out some of these comments. All right, so somebody asks on TikTok, where is the best value area right now into near midterm? So where is the best value area? I would say if I had unlimited money and I were going to make an investment play based on future potential, then it would be around Amazon HQ2. Amazon HQ2 is in the Crystal City area, and also so that's the Southern Arlington, North Alexandria, city of Alexandria area, and there's just so much development over there that I don't think that people will be able to wrap their heads around how expensive it will be
in the future.
In the future, they really won't be able to wrap their head around how desirable it'll be to live near a metro stop, near some of it looks like we're getting a lot more nice restaurants over there. There's a lot of attractions over there. There are luxury apartment complexes. We don't have any luxury condominiums. I don't think that we're going to get any luxury condominiums over there. I hope we do. But the existing home the existing homes that are in the area, I think that area is just going to be a gold mine in the future. So that is what I would say is the best value in the area. It's already more expensive than most of Northern Virginia. So I just believe that is just going to exacerbate over time. Do you have an area that you believe is going
Well,
to?
actually, what I was going to ask, if it was outside of that area, like if you did not have the budget for a luxury area, where else outside of Arlington could you see having the best value?
The best value, that's not a luxury area. I think that the Ashburn in Loudoun County would be my next bet. Loudoun County has done a great job of managing their marketing of their region. They've done a great job of keeping their schools at a higher rating. So what happens sometimes in new developments is the schools have higher ratings because the individuals who move in are usually kind of trendsetters. They also have a higher price range than most people. That's how new construction works. And then you'll see that community either stay the same or it'll slowly start to decrease over time. Loudoun has done a great job of having appreciating values, and they have great PR. Depends.
Really?
Yes. And they also provide a great user experience, right? So there's a Top Golf, there's all kind of attractions.
There are a lot of
in
attractions, a lot of restaurants. They have a really good. They've done a good job with creating like a lot of town center areas.
Yes.
So they don't have a city nearby, or a downtown, but they've done a good job of making use of the space so that it's an enjoyable place for its residents. So One Loudoun comes to mind, right?
Yes.
And where you can spend your entire weekend there, so you don't feel like you have to go to the city.
That's true. So that is the next place I would say. And then I think that there is an unknown variable with Potomac Shores. Potomac Shores offers but I can't say that because Potomac Shores is kind of expensive. I mean, the townhouses are $600,000. The condos are $400,000 to $500,000. I mean, that's kind of at the
pricey for its location, for it to be so far south.
I mean, that's pricey in general. I mean,
yeah.
a lot of our townhouses
condos in our area cost less than that.
Yes, and then also the single family homes are like $1 million. So if you're paying that price already, like why wouldn't you stay in Springfield? I think that there's a couple unknown variables with Potomac Shores, so that would be my third place.
Yes, because what we're hearing is, well, first of all, the VRE no update. It keeps getting pushed back. We don't know when the town center there is going to be open. And then on top of that, we actually recently got a comment that says, yeah, Potomac Shores itself is nice, but what about the surrounding area?
Gotcha.
And so you don't want to be in an area where you have to stay in your community and you don't have the option to go to local creature comforts and feel safe, secure, welcome, or feel like it lines up with the rest of the area.
Right. So my top 3 picks as far as the places that I believe has the most value area, we have the Crystal City and Potomac Yard area. So National Landing, Amazon HQ2, and then next runner up is going to be Ashburn and Loudoun, and then third place is going to be Potomac Shores in Dumfries or in Prince William. All right, so we have another question here. Let's see. Boop. All right, so how do you feel about property values in Burke going up in the future? How do you feel about property values in Burke going up in the future? I think Burke is just a safe play because you have higher rated public schools and you have a more suburban lifestyle. So a lot of people don't go to the city and they don't have a need for town centers, right? Like you don't have as many town centers around the Burke area. So I think that Burke is still going to be a strong play in the future. I don't see any downsides to Burke really.
Yeah.
It's a bit far for us.
It's far for us, but it's close to Fairfax too. So even if you do want, like if creature comforts are big to you, are there a lot in Burke? No, but you're close to Fairfax.
Yes. And to be honest with you, most people live their lives around the a few grocery stores, a few restaurants. So there aren't much variety when it comes to living out that way. So I think that prices in Burke will continue to rise, especially because they have good public schools.
Yeah, they have highly rated public schools at every level.
I would also say that Burke has a draw to it that I feel like there's a more community feel to Burke. That when you talk to somebody who lives in Burke, they feel very strongly about the Burke area. I think as long as they keep that positive PR going, then people will continue to find Burke desirable in the future.
Mhm.
All right, so blah blah blah. All right, so somebody said, "Oh, this is a continuation." I asked because we are thinking about buying in that area, afraid that property values won't go up much. I don't think that you should fear that. I think that I don't. I would I say that Burke isn't far west to really have that concern, in my opinion. Yeah, it's not far enough to have that opinion. I would say that the people who purchased in Stafford or even further than Gainesville, like Warrenton area, I think
Mhm.
those people need to be concerned. Because that area, we see that when the market does kind of retract, that the areas that are outliers,
Yeah, the areas on the outskirts are going to feel that first, but I wouldn't count Burke in that
yeah, I wouldn't
number.
count Burke in that number. I mean, Burke is closer than Centerville, so I would no. I don't think you have any challenges with that. But if you are going to buy in the Burke area, I do know a real estate agent that
Do you
could.
now?
Yes, I do know a real estate agent. He happens to have a TikTok channel. Also, he's very popular on the YouTube.
I think he's
So
live right now.
I think so.
And
So
there's a link in the bio for the Perfect
there
Home
is.
questionnaire.
Thank you for setting us up with that.
So if you're interested, please go ahead and click that link and we'll schedule a time for you to meet with Abraham to discuss your home buying needs. He can answer any questions that you have, whether it be about the area, the market, or the process.
Exactly. Excellent. So if we don't have any other questions, let's give this a little time to breathe. We'll go into our second part of our presentation, which is 100 questions every seller should ask. And this is question number 9.
Is it more difficult to sell a vacant home than one that is being lived in?
Excellent. All right. So post your questions down below. We will answer your questions after our next segment. If we don't get anyone immediately, also let us know where you're watching us from. Post in the comment section your location. If you are local, let us know what county you're in. If you're not local, let us know which area you're in. We would greatly appreciate that. We love the feedback from the community.
Excellent.
All right, we'll give it a couple. Let it breathe just a little bit. I don't know if you know this, but I made this mix.
You made this mix.
Yeah, this is my mix.
Oh no, I thought what's his name made it.
No, Franco didn't make this.
Okay, very good.
It's nice little chill music.
I enjoy it. Enjoy it. This is the type of that lo-fi.
The lo-fi, I love
the lo-fi music. That's what I listen to when I'm writing.
Is it?
When I'm writing the scripts? Yes, that's what I listen to.
Excellent. All right, so if we don't have any questions, we will go into our next topic. All right, 100 questions every home seller should ask. Question number 9.
I think you wanted to do
yeah,
that.
That's all right. Excellent. All right. All right, so now we're talking about vacant properties, right? So before we kind of get into our conversation about vacant properties, I kind of want to go over that there's 3 types of properties. One, there's a lived-in property. This is a property where the seller or the homeowner has decided to sell the property. Maybe they've just decluttered the property. They've kind of moved around some of their furniture. This is lived in. Second is staged. Staged is where property actually come into the home. So you rent some property from a vendor. There's usually staging companies. Sometimes people go directly to a furniture rental store, and then they put furniture into their property. Last up, we have vacant. This is where somebody moves completely out of the property, and it's just a bare landscape. There's nothing in there.
Mm-hmm.
This is vacant. Now, there's a debate regularly about whether or not vacant properties are more challenging or less challenging to sell than vacant or furnished homes. The challenge with this conversation is that we don't really have any conclusive evidence of either being the case.
Mm-hmm.
And furniture, or when there's items in the property, it just helps the buyer to see the space, understand the layout, know where their stuff is going to go, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm walking through a property with a client, a buyer client, and there's already a sofa right there, especially in a townhouse. Townhouses are the most challenging to see this, because sometimes townhouses are just one long room with a kitchen in the middle in your main living space. So you don't really know where the dining room table goes, where does the couch go. If it's already in there, the buyer immediately knows, like, okay, great, my couch is about that size, it can go right there, or my dining room table is this length, it can go right there. So you don't have to use as much of your imagination.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're moving from a similar property, so maybe you're moving from a one car garage townhouse to a two car garage townhouse, which is very common, then you kind of have an idea of what the space is, how the space is laid out. If it's vacant though, and you're moving maybe from a condo to a townhouse, or from a townhouse to a single family home, when it's vacant, you're kind of like thrown off a little bit because you don't know how the space works for your setup.
Yeah, it's definitely not as big a problem if you live in a similar layout. Like if you're already renting a townhouse and you're buying a townhouse, then you already know, okay, well, couch fits here, this fits there. But if you're going in the scenario, like you said, if you're a move up buyer and you're trying to figure out, well, where will everything go? Or even if you're downsizing, how can I possibly fit everything I have into this space? It's a lot easier to envision that if you can see someone else's furniture already laid out. Now, sometimes a vacant home can be a good thing. As we've been covering this series on preparing your home to get market ready, one of the things we've been talking about and we've been hammering home is decluttering, right? Making a space as neutral as possible. When there's less clutter to navigate around, it's easier for the person to see the actual space. Not that they can envision what they'll do with the space, but they can actually see the condition of the carpet, the condition of the floors. If there's a lot of stuff in the house, it can be hiding things, right? But also, when the home is completely vacant, it's bright. There's nothing there's no dark drapes, there's nothing that could detract from or make the space feel smaller. It's just a bright, open space. And so, when you have a vacant home, it eliminates the need to depersonalize because what's more neutral than a blank canvas?
That's a good joke. That's a good. Yes.
I
Um.
do what I can.
So the challenges with selling the vacant home, or selling a home when it's vacant, is there's no one there to kind of watch it, right? So one of the things we like about rent backs is, especially for our clients who are moving to the area and they kind of need somebody to be in the house,
Hmm.
rent backs kind of work out well for our clients because now they don't have to worry about, quote unquote, securing the property.
Absolutely. So for our clients who are PCSing here, often they're buying a home while they're still living either in another state or they're living abroad. Well, if they put a house under contract in March and it closes in April, they're still not coming here to June. So the rent back is actually great for them because it gives them someone to stay in the house until they get here. So they don't have to worry about a vacant house being, 2,000, 3,000 miles away.
That's true. That's true. Another thing that comes up when you're selling a vacant home is utilities, right? So having the water running, but no one's there. Like, what
Hmm.
could happen to your appliances or your toilet? We had a client a couple years ago who they were located in California. They were representing themselves to sell their property, and then they contracted us because they were unsuccessful. So we got a key from their neighbor and we went into the property to do our original assessment. This is us preparing to do our market analysis. Well, when I get up to the toilet in the main bath, it's 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 disgusting. I don't know if somebody used it. I don't know why it was in the state it was in, but I let the client know, hey, look, there's a problem with the toilet, so they got a plumber out to fix it. But this is one of the challenges that you have when your property is vacant. Another thing to consider is when your property is vacant. In Northern Virginia, we have these temperature fluctuations during the winter season. Now, our winters are mild,
Hmm.
to say the least, but if it drops below freezing and you need to turn the water spigots off outside, who's going to do that?
Yeah. Or just keeping the temperature regulated. Like if you have a home that's on the market in this weather right now, in the current climate, some days we run our air, other days we run our heat. So, you have to have someone who's going to, if depending on how long the home is on the market, make sure they're regulating the temperature of the property, making sure that the heat is on when it's cold outside, that the air is on when it's hot outside. And that's important because if you're marketing your home, you want the person to walk in and feel welcomed. If it's freezing cold outside and someone walks into the house and it is, it chills their bones, that's an immediate turn off for a potential buyer.
Lastly, when it comes to maintaining the exterior of the home, so who's going to be cutting the grass? Who's going to make sure that the leaves are cleared? If it snows, who's going to make sure that the sidewalks are cleared so that we could have a successful, uneventful showing? So these are all things that kind of come into play when you're selling your property as a vacant home.
And then we have staging, and staging is a hot topic because sometimes there are some people who really believe that staging matters, that it's really important. And does it help? It absolutely can help, but it's not something that's always necessary. I think, especially when you're in a really hot market, but there isn't enough evidence that supports the cost of staging to necessarily say that to say that it's necessary.
Yeah, so I think staging is one of those things that depends on the market of the moment. If you're in a market that has a lot of inventory, distinguishing or setting up your property to be different than the other properties on the market is important, and that's going to definitely help you to sell quickly. But in the hot market, what is the purpose of staging if every house is getting offer and if every house is selling above the asking price?
Yes. Like I wonder how stagers are doing in this current market, right? Because everything is going to start to come off the market rather quickly. So what is the point in staging? Because staging is not free. Staging comes at a cost, and it comes at a cost to the seller. The seller pays for the staging.
I think that agents who are pro staging, they are able to sell their clients on the benefits of staging. And I think that those agents don't care what market we're in. They want to sell a product the same way all the time.
That looks a certain way. Yes.
And I commend those agents. My position on this is I'm trying to save my client money and while also maximizing their profit. And I just don't see enough data that says a stage property will get X amount of dollars over the asking
Yes, there's
price.
not enough evidence that shows how much more you're going to get versus a home that is sold vacant or a home that is sold with the home furnishings in it that belong to the seller. So I would need to see evidence that says how much more they're going to get, because you can price a vacant home competitively and possibly net more money. And that doesn't necessarily mean you'll get the same amount of money as far as sales price. But when you factor in the cost of staging, you could have actually saved money just by selling a home without staging it.
That's true. All right. So that was question number 9 in our 100 questions every seller should ask. Is it more difficult to sell a vacant home than one that is being lived in? Get your questions ready. If you have any questions for us about buying a home, selling a home, or investing in real estate, we will stay on for a few more minutes to answer those questions. While we are waiting for your questions to get ready, a couple housekeeping items. We go live Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Put that on your calendar. Join us on the show. Also, if you have a friend, a family member, a relative, a colleague, a neighbor who is thinking about real estate, let them know about our show. Introduce them to our show. We can answer their questions in real time about the local market. We're in Northern Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C. We service from Stafford all the way up to Loudoun County and all the way to the Potomac River. So while we're waiting for your questions, there's a link in the description to the Perfect Home Questionnaire. Fill out that form, and we can schedule a time to meet online via Zoom to answer any questions that you may have about buying a home, selling a home, or investing in real estate, no matter where you are in your real estate journey.
Yeah. And if you want to catch the rebroadcast, be sure to check out our YouTube channel, Where to Live in Northern Virginia. And if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you're on TikTok, be sure to follow on TikTok.
Excellent. So I thought that was a good show today. We have some errands to run.
We do have errands to run. Hopefully, while we're running our errands, I'll convince you that we should go to Abraham's tennis match this afternoon.
I heard you say that earlier, and
Did you? Did
I
you?
did, and I
Our oldest son, Abraham Walker II, has made the tennis team at his high school, and he has a scrimmage today. But it's an away game, and so that's why we don't know if we're going to make it.
yeah. See, I mean, tennis games are so long.
They
They're
are.
boring
But you know
too.
what? His childhood is so short. We only have him for 3.5 more years before he's off to college. And what's 2 hours? What's 2 hours of your
Hmm.
time for your son who's following in your footsteps? Because the only reason Abraham II is playing tennis is because his dad played tennis in high school. He is one of the best tennis players in our city when we were in high school. And he's just following in your footsteps.
But my parents didn't come to my tennis matches.
I know, baby, but we are so different from your parents. We are so different from your parents. But anyway, so when we run our errands today, I'm gonna try to convince Abraham to go to this scrimmage so we can watch the second in his tennis match.
What do you all think? If you had a kid playing tennis, would you go to the tennis matches? There's so many tennis matches
There
too.
are so
there are a
many.
lot.
There's so many. I know, baby.
But I guess in the grand scheme of things, it makes more sense to give in to your wife's demands, so that
I am not
what they
making a
say,
demand.
happy wife, happy life.
You don't believe that.
I don't believe
You
that,
don't
but I mean
believe
that's what the people say.
As people, all I'm saying is, you make this big thing about how many more weekends do we have with Abraham before he goes off to college?
Don't be using my philosophies
I'm just
against
trying to.
me.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So we shall see. We'll report back tomorrow on if we went to the tennis match or not. It's just a scrimmage. It's not a real game. The actual season kicks off next week.
Exactly. See that's another reason why does it make sense to go to this scrimmage when he has real matches coming up? See, I think that we should go to the real matches.
I think we should go to a mall.
Okay, so another reason why I have a problem with going to all of them is that Theodore is going to expect us to go to all of his whatevers.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I'll say to that, first of all, Theodore is going to expect that anyway because Theodore is Theodore. So he's going to demand that we go to everything he does regardless. Abraham wants us to go, but he won't ask. But Theodore will demand that we go. So we never have to worry about Theodore because he's not going to let you not go. So
that's a good point. Theodore is demanding.
Yes, and you're going to give in to his demands. So it'll mean a lot to him, and it will.
That's true. That is
true.
That is true. Is anything on my schedule for today?
There's nothing on, and that's the other point I wanted to make. I'm glad you brought that up. Your schedule will not always permit you to attend his matches.
Gotcha.
Quite often you won't be able to attend his matches. So I think that when your schedule permits, I think that you have to go because there are going to be many times when your schedule is not going to allow you to go.
Excellent. Well, that means that I mean I can't refute that. Those points, those are all good points.
Excellent. I do what I can.
Well, it looks like we'll be watching some tennis tonight or this afternoon. My son will be playing what? City of Alexandria?
Alexandria City, I think is what they've changed the name
Alexandria City used to be TC Williams.
Yeah.
All right, so Daniel Ruth, come on, Daniel.
What did he say?
Daniel says you should definitely go.
Thank you, Daniel.
Daniel on YouTube is saying that he's in favor of us going. Sure. Yes.
He's gonna be thrilled.
Yep.
He's gonna be thrilled.
Do we know where the game is at? It's at the school, so I guess we'll be able to find it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One thing we've noticed about living here is that there are tennis courts everywhere.
Yes,
there's tennis courts everywhere. I bet we have like some of the highest concentration of tennis courts per residence than most regions.
Yes.
Of America.
Yes. So we have a couple just in our homeowners association. We have a couple, but the other day people were playing on all the courts and our boys were just like, okay, well, we'll just go to the other courts. And they were just listing off all the other places they could go to play tennis.
Yes, there are so many tennis courts. So we're happy that he's playing tennis. We're also happy that he is excited about playing tennis because tennis can be a more like an introspective game, right? Where you're just like a one-on-one situation, but he's really excited about playing doubles and also improving his skills. And we're big, so I'm a big proponent of just having fun with tennis versus trying to be, good.
Mhm.
So it seems like he has adopted that philosophy a little bit.
A little bit, although he
Yes.
does pride himself on how good he is.
I, uh,
I
yes.
mean, so this is the problem. So Abraham is a tennis player. Abraham, the husband, is a tennis player, and Abraham the second does well playing tennis, but he doesn't have the skill yet. So my husband views that more as luck, whereas he is a more skilled player, and he thinks that either Abraham can continue to have fun or he can improve his skill.
Right. So
So
I separate the two. So I think that you should either decide if you're going to have fun or if you're going to try to get better. I think that if you try to get better, then you're going to remove the fun. Now, you will have fun in the future. So it's more like a delayed gratification thing.
mhm.
I don't know if it's worth it for him to delay his gratification while maybe enjoying the company of his friends at school, making new friends, not making it, when I was playing tennis, I used to enjoy winning. So that kind of positions you as, some people will say you're like an asshole
Mhm.
in some degree.
Language.
Um so I don't want him to convert to that level of playing, because again, I'm 40 right now. I know guys who play tennis well into their 40s, so you don't really need that same level of competitiveness when it's really more of a community type of sport, and when it's
Mhm.
more like a relationship driven idea. So I want my son to have that aspect of tennis versus
Mhm.
just like, oh my goodness, like I'm gonna slaughter this person. I was like, oh my god, that's not necessary. You're gonna
Mhm.
see Joe later on
Mhm.
in life.
All right. Well, that's our afternoon update on what the Walkers will be up to today. If you guys have any other questions, we're gonna have a last call for questions. So if you have any questions about buying a home, selling a home, or investing in real estate, we would love to answer them now. If you think of a question later, you can add the comment down in the comment section in YouTube, and we will respond to that question. If you want to meet with Abraham, we would love to schedule a perfect home consultation with you. That'll give you a chance to have him answer your questions one on one, and you can talk about your plans to either buy a home or sell a home. So be sure to click the link in the description for that. And on TikTok, you can check that. You can find that link in the bio. We will be back tomorrow to answer 2 more questions. And let's see, I know we're going to talk about pre-inspection on a seller side tomorrow. So we're going to talk about the idea of having a home inspection done before your property comes on the market. And then on our seller side, we're going to talk about on our buyer side, we're going to talk about home warranties, what it is and what you can expect from a home warranty. So, what kind would you give it a new construction? And also, what's available as far as home warranties when you're purchasing a resale, and a resale is just a home that has been previously owned by someone else. So, we're going to dive into those 2 questions on tomorrow. You guys can come back and meet us here and bring your questions as well. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock. We are live Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. And you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and also on the TikTok.
Also, for our TikTok people, make sure you follow the channel because we're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. So our TikTok people, you're not able to see our whole presentation here. We have little guides and stuff like that. But once we get to 10,000 followers, we can
stream from the computer from our
yes,
broadcast studio
little
like we do on
system.
the other channel. And also you'll be able to see me because
Yes,
you got
there's a person right over there.
the voice
You
that you
can't see them
hear. That
on
that is
TikTok.
actually that's Crystal. You may have seen me in some of the TikToks. My name's Crystal.
Mhm.
I'm Abraham's wife and business partner,
Yep.
his assistant.
She exists.
I exist. I am more than just a voice.
That's
And
true.
once we get to 10,000 on TikTok, you'll also be able to see me. But for now, I'm just the voice, like just an echo. Abraham's not throwing his voice. There's another person in here.
How did you feel about today's show with you doing your little well, we did a couple things different today. We did a little jumping jacks to get our energy up.
We did do a few jumping jacks to get our energy up, and I think that was great. So I actually was not feeling well today. So
I can't tell.
I thank you. I'm actually feeling a little better now though.
That
So
makes
that's
sense.
good.
When you spend time with me, that's how it works.
I had a migraine for the last 24 hours, but it seems like it's subsiding now. So that's good news. So I think that the energy thing was great. We ran through the entire show before we went live today. I think that was a plus.
Yeah, I think they got a better performance.
I think you guys got a good show out of us today. At least I think so. I hope you agree.
Do you think that we should do dry runs before shows?
I like the dry run. It's gonna have to be the morning of, just because I don't really think we have time to do the dry run the night before.
So I think we probably need to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today. It has been a pleasure meeting with you guys. I hope we've been able to answer all your questions. And if you think of any other questions that you would like us to answer, meet us back here tomorrow at 10 o'clock, where we will be well rested, because we will not have woken up at 5 a.m.
So you're really against this 5 a.m. waking up thing. That people wake up at that time. That time exists on the clock.
Those people are not Crystal Salvant Walker. Those people, they exist. They don't live in this house.
I don't know why you resist the 5 a.m. The 5 a.m. is calling you for you to get.
My phone is actually on Do Not Disturb until 7:15. So no one.
Who set that up?
No one is calling me.
Didn't you set that up?
No one's calling me at 5 a.m.
I think you set that up. So
I did set that up.
I think that you could probably.
I did set that up.
I think you could probably adjust that so that you can. Because you said yourself that the dry run actually produce a better show. Why wouldn't you want to give these people the best show possible?
First of all, I am all for giving everyone the absolute best show. I believe that we can give them the best show possible waking at 6. The show does not start until 10. It does not take us 4 hours to get ready. So I believe that the absolute best show can be presented to our audience if we wake up at 6 a.m.
You think so?
I believe so. Let's do that and see how it goes. Now, I am not opposed to waking up earlier if I am proven wrong.
Gotcha.
But first, you're going to have to prove me wrong.
Okay. I just want to let you know that I'm right a lot.
You're right sometimes.
I am right a lot.
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think you want me to wake up at 5 a.m. If I have to wake up at 5 a.m., that's going to change your life. You're going to have to help out in the evening.
That's fine.
We shall see. YouTube, we shall see. And
TikTok
and LinkedIn and Facebook,
yes.
and Twitter. We're live a lot of places.
Excellent. So we don't have any other questions. So I appreciate you all watching this. I hope that was entertaining. But we'll be back tomorrow for tomorrow's show. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you. We'll see you
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Hope you see us too.
Peace.